Today, another tour through a cigar box of vintage and antique pencils. Today's focus is the American Pencil Company, which later became Venus Pencils. Hello everyone. Another box of pencils to go through today, and this is a very full box. First of all, sorry if I can stop hitting the camera. Let's appreciate the beautiful graphics on this old cigar box. But even more beautiful to us pencil appreciators is what is inside. It's a full box of pencils. Venus, American Pencil Company and Venus were making pencils for a very long time. So there are a lot here in my collection. I will not necessarily go in depth on any one pencil, so we'll hopefully make it through in a reasonable amount of time. The American Pencil Company later changed their name to Venus, mostly because of the popularity of this pencil right here, not this exact pencil, but their artist line of pencils with the distinctive kind of crackle green paint was so popular. It came in multiple grades for artists. It's more unusual to see it with a ferrule and eraser. Usually the artist pencils came without, either capped or with nothing. But we see pretty nice example. It's sharpened, but it's in good shape, of the pencil that made them famous, and they ended up changing the name of their company to Venus because of the popularity of this. And they, I believe, purchased the rights to use the Venus de Milo image in their advertising. So you'll see that sometimes in old magazines and whatnot. So American Pencil Company, later Venus Pencils. Another one of their very popular pencils here that they made for years and years. USA bonded Venus Velvet all-purpose. This one's a 2 2/3. That's curious. 2 2/3. Upscale ferrule, two blue bands on it, all in brass. It looks like kind of a rough example. A lot of these in here are obviously found in the wild, rough examples of pencils. Okay. Kind of a metallic paint job on this. I believe it says 767 is the model number. The Jewel. Made in USA, Venus Pencil Company. Metallic red. Somewhat generic. Silver tone ferrule. This pencil, I believe, got its own video. Patriotic Helpmate. Discussed in that video was the tie-in to the King James Bible. The word helpmate is I guess a mashup of help meet, which is the phrase used to describe Eve in the biblical account of creation. And you can watch that video if you have any interest. But Patriotic Helpmate, obviously a beginner's pencil, round, large diameter. The core has a large diameter. Very nice pencil. Diablo copying pencil. This has a cap. I don't know if it was original to the pencil. Plastic cap. Maybe because the dyes used in these indelible or copying pencils was toxic. So it was to protect you, I assume. Here's another 767. So this must be a Jewel. Although that part of the pencil is worn off. This one in a kind of a magenta. Is that what that color is called? Still metallic. Brass ferrule. Different ferrule than the previous iteration we looked at. I apparently have several of these in here. Venus Diploma. This is using a logo that is a I don't think lasted very long in production because you don't see that very often, that V, the V inside of a circle. Model number 81, Diploma by Venus. Obviously also a kind of a beginner's pencil. Well, look how uncentered that core is there. It's kind of a googly eye appearance to it, doesn't it? Much later in Venus's history. Coloring pencil, usually I don't include colored pencils with my graphite pencils in their collection, but this has the artificial crackle look to it. Another velvet, but this one is interesting because of the ferrule and eraser, the disc-shaped eraser. Eye of Ra, it's going to show us where the Ark of the Covenant is hidden if you place it just right at the right time of day. For Greg, shorthand, that's interesting. Venus Velvet, made in USA, number 3555 for shorthand. Very cool ferrule on that. All right, what else? Another velvet, earlier iteration of that. They made the velvet for years and years and years. Very popular pencil. Good marketing. A name like Velvet, you assume smoothness of graphite. This one's a number 3. Has a, I'm going to say that's a black band on the ferrule. That's my guess. Venus Unique. Capped, no eraser. Unsharpened. It's a colored pencil also, 1206, so must have been part of a set of colored pencils. Here's some more of the drawing and artist pencils here. Various iterations and generations of that. I notice when you're finding pencils in the wild, used art supplies and whatnot, you tend to find primarily the H grades, 4H, 9H, 6H, H, 2H. I don't know if that's because, well, the softer graphite certainly does wear down more quickly. Or maybe these were being used primarily by draftsmen, technical artists, architect, engineer, that type, that would favor the lighter and firmer graphite of the H grades. There's an unsharpened. Boy, awful lot of these in here. That makes up the largest chunk of the collection. That one doesn't belong. All right, so these are all pretty similar. Don't require a lot of time to go over those. Okay, type erase, a little crossover collection here. Goes with my typewriter collection and my pencil collection. Pretty commonly found in typewriter cases. When you find those in the wild these days, you'll find a by Venus or some other manufacturer. Lots of companies made these typewriter erasers. Rubber inserted here where the graphite would normally be, and a brush on the end where the eraser would be. Handy device for correcting mistakes while your sheet is still in the carriage of the typewriter. Here's an old velvet with a destroyed end. Maybe I just haven't found a better example with that type of ferrule on it. So that's in my collection until that point. Another colored pencil, Color Bright. All right, two-ended, two-color, bicolor pencil, American Pencil Company, so prior to Venus, New York. We've got the red and the blue for grading or marking up a manuscript. Another Splendor. No, we had a Jewel before. This is a Splendor 755. Splendor. You can see that. American Pencil Company. We got the white pen striping on the edges, on the corners, and then the flats have the kind of a royal blue or a deep sky blue. Brass ferrule. Eraser is intact. That probably was sharpened once and not used very much. Another Splendor, although most of the sple is sharpened off. Just Ndor is left. American Pencil Company, New York, USA, 755. It's a number 2. Again, brass ferrule. This one in a hot pink. Patriotic Semester, the curiously named Patriotic Semester. They had a pencil called simply Semester. I'm not sure what made this one patriotic. Wasn't just the color, because I've seen it in other colors other than red. So your guess is as good as mine on the naming here. I mean, Semester, obviously, it's a school pencil, slightly larger. It's a mini jumbo, or slightly larger than average diameter. No ferrule, no cap. Intended for a school market, clearly. Another one of those. Scientific by Venus. I think I did a full review of these. This has the V in a circle logo. You don't see that often. Kind of a glossy hunter green. Number 2 pencil, no ferrule, no eraser. I'm assuming all of these pencils are likely cedar, and most of the ferrules are brass, at least the ones we've come across so far. There's some others coming, I think. There's a sharpened version of the Scientific. Drawing. There's a couple of these Venus forums, more than a couple. Why do I have so many of these in here? Maybe there are slight differences, or maybe I just haven't weeded through this yet to get rid of duplicates. Yeah, there's 4 of what appear to be the same pencil. Kind of an older style of ferrule, but not brass. Venus Forum, number 739, pressure proofed. Standard school and office type pencil. Time to sharpen one of those up and try it. I don't think I have any sharpened varieties in there. Much newer Venus Velvet. So they were making this for decades, at least. Has a more modern looking ferrule. Kind of looks like the USA Golds, which I happen to have one nearby here. Currently manufactured USA Gold and Venus Velvet next to it. Interesting. Venus Beats All. Terrific name. Oversized ferrule to fit this big eraser on it. Metallic green, USA, Venus Beats All, 731. Not really a big fan of pencils with oversized erasers, Blackwing or otherwise. I just don't care for the look of it. Okay, so what do we have here? This one's going to be really hard to read. American Pencil Company. I believe it says there. 1040. Eraser on this end. Graphite on this end. I've talked about that style of pencil before. Before it became standard to have a ferrule and eraser. This is the kind of thing you would get. I have to hold it up. I think it says Dickens. American Pencil Company, New York. Bearwood. It might have a really light stain on it. Cool. Smaller than average in diameter as well. Here is a Venus Utility. And boy, that has been utilized repeatedly and roughly. It's in bad shape. But such a interesting ferrule before it was destroyed, that this has a place in my collection until I find a better example of that. Venus Autograph, 779. Probably late 20th century. Another Splendor in blue. That was a fine looking pencil in its day. Okay, Diablo, copying. More toxic dyes for you. Another Beats All and another iteration of that with a brass ferrule. Standard sized, I prefer that. I'm not sure which of those came earlier. The brass material tells me this one likely came earlier, but yeah, I think that's probably safe to say based on the fonts and everything. Another Beats All. This one's much later, I would say. Much more boring to look at, isn't it? Oh, this is fun. Venus sports car. Look at that sports car. That does not look, you know, the design I don't think would work in the real world. I'm trying to figure how a car like that would even drive. They needed actual engineers working on that car design. Presumably that's a car. Number 29. Sports car. Maybe somewhat lighter than a royal blue. Probably brass on the ferrule, and the eraser maybe was yellow or maybe just yellowed over time. Cool little bit of history there. This is taking a while, isn't it? There's another jewel, metallic green. Okay, let's see. What else do we have? Another Patriotic Helpmate. Another Scientific. Splendor. Seem to have several of those in the same color. More of these artist pencils. I can safely move those. Nothing all that exciting there. Here's a Beats All with a plastic ferrule. I assume that's plastic. So early 40s if one went with the normal dating based on using a plastic ferrule. They were still the American Pencil Company at the time of the making of this. Kind of a seafoam green. I like the looks of that. Too bad it's such a worn example of that. More of these Venus Forums and Venus Beats All. This one, they just given up on names at this point, late in the 20th century. It's just a Venus. Venus number 2. That's all you get. Tired of making things unique and interesting. Another Beats All. What's this? It says carbon pencil. I assume that's like copying. Oh, maybe not. I'm not certain if that's referencing a very dark graphite carbon like coal or if that's a copying or indelible type pencil. I'm not sure. I don't think I've come across a sharpened version of this to try. Glass finish, American Pencil Company. It's a cool pencil though. The graphite does look larger than average there. The diameter of the pencil feels a little bit larger than average. Patriotic Semester. There's a couple of different ones we haven't seen yet. A Splendor with a wedge-shaped, a dart almost, eraser on the end. That's kind of cool. I like the coloring on this, the very dark midnight blue. Looks good with the white. Nice looking. I'll make an exception for the larger than average ferrules and erasers if it looks like that. That's kind of cool. I like it. And then Indian by American Pencil Company. Assuming that name didn't survive for very long in their product line. Globe by Venus, number 732. I think the ferrule's made to look like brass, but isn't, based on appearances. Another model name that I don't think survived very long. I don't recall seeing many of those. Patriotic Semester. Here's another one we haven't seen yet. Cascade. American Pencil Company. Old brass. Number 737. Standard school and office type pencil. There's a velvet forum next to a velvet drawing. So they were marketing this as a school and office pencil as well as an artist pencil. Maybe a cheaper option than the crackle paint ones like this. I don't actually see anything written on that one. Blue and red, bicolor. Venus Naturals. This has really soft corners on it. Looks like a later production, but I like the look of it. Natural wood with a light lacquer on it or something. And another Patriotic Semester. So there you go. That's one of the more full boxes of my collection. I tend to separate them out by manufacturer, and Venus and American were making pencils for so long that I have a ton. Although clearly time to weed out some of these because I have lots and lots of duplicates. If you have any familiarity with Venus or American Pencil Company pencils, let me know. See anything you like? How did I even have that fitting in here before it's too long? Maybe that's what I did. Ooh. All right. Well, thanks for watching this longer than needed video. And I hope to see you here again next time.